All right, everybody. I'm Logan Allec. I'm a CPA, and here I am with yet another tax software review. This one is for FreeTaxUSA. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Logan, isn't it a little late in the tax season to be doing a tax software review? And I will say, yes, it kind of is. I knocked out the major ones early in the tax season. I already did TurboTax, H&R Block, Credit Karma Tax, and Tax Act. I did review videos for those 2-3 months ago. But I have gotten special requests from my audience to do a walkthrough and review of FreeTaxUSA. So here I am. Better late than never, right? As always, I do have my affiliate links in the description below to not only FreeTaxUSA, but also other tax softwares. There's some links down there where you can get free stocks, all kinds of good stuff, cashback on gas, other videos. So be sure to check those links out after you watch this review and walkthrough of FreeTaxUSA. So let's get right into it. This is actually the very first time I have ever been on the FreeTaxUSA website, believe it or not. So I don't even know what the pricing is. It says free. I guess it's not all free like Credit Karma Tax, I suppose, right? Okay, so there's the free edition. Oh, shoot. You have to pay for state? No. No. Why? Why? I mean, with TurboTax free, if you qualify for a TurboTax free edition, you don't have to pay for state. Same for H&R Block, and obviously Credit Karma Tax is free, across the board. Tax Act, you do have to pay for state for their free edition, but it's only like $5 or something. Don't quote me on that, but it's something like that. Look at my Tax Act review. So I'm not enjoying this right now. Right off the bat, I don't like the look of this. So what can you do with free? Okay. Okay, this is interesting. So it looks like okay, so instead of pricing the tax software based on the complexity of the tax return, it looks like FreeTaxUSA simply prices it based on the level of service you want, right? So the free edition is basically, it looks like you can file unlimited options, right? You can do everything in here in the free version of the tax software, right? It says, the home ownership, right? Mortgage interest and property taxes, you would have to pay for the TurboTax Deluxe Edition to do that. So you can basically do everything in the FreeTaxUSA free edition. But if you want someone to live chat and priority support, right? If you want the ability to file an amended return and audit assist, then you would go with the deluxe edition. My thinking is typically if your tax return is simple enough to do in a tax software, do you really need the audit protection and all that stuff? I don't know, right? But I think most of you out there probably have very simple returns, so let's just stick with the free edition. I do not like how the state return costs money even for an extremely simple return, but let's get right into it. Okay, I'm a completely new user. I'm going to fill this out. Obviously, all this will be blanked out. Do you have to put your phone number? I think that's just for security. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Create new account. All right, here we are. We are in. Okay, congratulations. You successfully created your FreeTaxUSA account. Set you an email. Let's get started on your 2020 taxes. Would you like to import your tax information from last year? I'm going to say no, because this is a completely fake return with a fake taxpayer, so there's nothing really to import. Okay, so right off the bat here, the user interface, it's definitely not as buttery smooth as probably any of the other tax softwares I reviewed so far. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's just, it's a little confusing. Where am I supposed to look, right? There's all these things here. There's this, this is kind of like faded out here. Like, what do I do? Maybe I should read the instructions. Use the top menu to check your progress or jump to areas you've already visited. Okay, so I guess, this kind of reminds you a little bit of Credit Karma Tax in that you kind of have to know what you're doing and what should go on your tax return. With like TurboTax and even H&R Block and Tax Act to some extent, it basically walks you through the whole tax return. Right? It just basically asks you all these questions in a row and basically makes it like very easy for you to prepare your tax return. FreeTaxUSA is kind of more like that Credit Karma Tax thing where you kind of have to already kind of know what you need to input, right? Okay, so taxpayer information. I guess I should fill that out. Okay. Yeah, like for example, TurboTax, they would ask for your name and stuff just right off the bat by default, right? You wouldn't have to like click somewhere and say, oh, I need to fill my taxpayer information. Okay, so just like in the other tax reviews, I kind of created this fictitious person named Jimmy Dean, and he's the person who I'm quote unquote preparing this tax return for. So I'm just gonna fill in his information here. I'm gonna say he's a sausage maker, and he was born on January 1st, 1976. I'm going to put in a fake social. I hope it takes it. Credit Karma Tax didn't like the fake social. I think it's because, Credit Karma Tax, they're very attuned to credit scores, and they can see if it's a fake social. Okay, I'm giving him a fake address in Los Angeles. Okay, can you be claimed by a dependent? No. I'm going to say no. Do you want to contribute $3? I'm going to say no. Is this person legally blind? No. Has this person passed away? No. Obviously, you're going to answer these questions here as they apply to you, right? I mean, if someone can claim you as dependent on their tax return, you're going to honestly answer yes. For purposes of this sample tax return, I'm going to say no. And that goes with all my tax software reviews, okay? I'm preparing this for a fictitious individual in a fictitious tax situation. You will respond to these answers and these questions as fits your situation, okay? Just because I put no here doesn't mean you're going to put no, right? So just to be completely clear on that. All right, save and continue. Okay, and here's like another thing where, okay, it says help me decide, where you might not know, right? Like, you might not know if you should be like single or head of household. So I'm glad they have this option here. I'm not sure. Help me decide. So let's go down that path. Okay, I'm gonna say that he's a divorced dad. Let's say. So and he got divorced. It doesn't really matter when he got divorced. It meant your marital status is determined on December 31st for tax purposes. Okay, dependents. I'm gonna say yes. Do you have any dependents or qualifying children? Yeah, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that his daughter lives with him. I'm going to call her Molly Dean, and I'm going to give her a fake social as well. And I'm going to say she was born on, same birthday, January 1st, 2011. Daughter. Additional dependent information. Did Molly live with you in the United States for all of 2020? I'm going to say yes. Is Molly disabled? I'm going to say no. Is she a U.S. citizen? I'm going to say yes. Again, these are typical answers, right, for most children or many children in the United States, but not necessarily yours. You have to read the question. And all right, do you have an agreement with Molly's other parents saying who can claim her? No, right? So, sometimes when people get divorced, there's an arrangement in the divorce decree or whatever or agreement that says, oh, we'll claim them every other year, or something like that. I'm going to assume that's not the case here. Did Molly live with you? Who did Molly live with for the greater? I'm going to say you, right? I'm going to say, Jimmy. You can claim her as a dependent. Are you releasing your right to claim Molly to her other parent? I'm going to say no. Did another relative of Molly, not including her other parent, live in your home for more than half of 2020? I'm going to say no. All right, so she qualifies as a dependent. It's wonderful. She also qualifies for a $2,000 child tax credit. The $3,600 and the $3,000 child tax credit, that's for tax year 2021. Okay, so that's the tax return you'll file next year in 2022 for tax year 2021. The IRS is trying to start paying that, a 12th of that monthly beginning this summer. We'll see how that goes, right? I know a lot of people need that money, and I hope that does happen. But okay, we got the dependent, we got Molly here. Do you have any more dependents or qualifying children? I'm going to say no. Did you pay more than half the cost of keeping up your home? I'm going to say yes. He's, the only adult in the household, and he lives with his, I guess, a 9-10-year-old daughter. So obviously he's the one supporting the household. Okay. Yep, had a household. So that sounds right to me. Obviously, that is, in many respects, more advantageous than just filing single. Okay. Did you or any of your dependents receive a notice from the IRS with an identity protection PIN? Okay, so this is interesting. Actually, a relative of mine who I do their taxes for, their the IRS rejected their tax return because they had given them an identity protection pin, in the mail, but they didn't know about it, right? So I went to file their tax return, and the IRS wouldn't accept it unless I input their identity protection pin. So, but I'm going to assume no, right? And you can retrieve your identity protection pin online if you lost it. It's basically the IRS sends it to people who they think might be at risk for identity theft or a victim of identity theft. So we recommend you add your phone number. I'm not going to do that because this is a fake account. Okay, now here's the upsell. Here is the upsell. Deluxe support upgrade. Upgrade to Deluxe for peace of mind at an incredibly low price. So I say this, except for Credit Karma Tax, right, which is very free. They monetize in other ways, right? They have your credit score or they obviously have your social, and you agree to okay, you can give them all these offers, credit card offers. You're basically creating a Credit Karma account when you do your tax return in Credit Karma Tax, right? So Credit Karma Tax monetizes in other ways. But for these other tax return softwares where they offer you a free return, at least a free federal return, they want to make money off you in some way. And one way they do that is by upselling you to get support, right? In this case, for $7. Okay, and they're not really selling you support. They are, but at the end of the day, they're selling you peace of mind, right? That's what you really want. In my opinion, for this guy Jimmy, as I'm going to show you, he just has a W-2 income and a little bit of interest income. Okay, there's nothing complicated about the tax situation. I would say save the $7 and go, buy some stock with it. Get your free stocks at Webull, link in the description below. All right, continue. So I'm not going to upgrade to Deluxe. I'm just going to hit continue. We're off to a good start. Now let's work on your 2020 income. Okay. Yep, he has a W-2. A W-2 from a fictitious company I called Big Company. So, yeah, with this completely fake identification number, so I'm going to input all this. The company is called Big Company. It's at 633 West 5th Street. I kind of said that kind of weird. 5th Street. All right, employee information. It's all the personal information that was input previously. All right, and then I'm just going to input the numbers from his W-2. So I'm just going to input all these. Box 1 is A3867.54. Federal income tax withheld, 7205.80. Social Security wages, 83998.79. Social Security tax withheld, 5207.92. Guess Jimmy makes pretty good money, huh? Making sausage. Medicare tax withheld, 1217.98. These numbers were just complete. I actually put his wages. I used a random number generator to figure out what the wages should be, and kind of just built this W-2 based on that. All right, it doesn't have anything. It's box 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11. All right, so now in box 12, he's got to put the codes in here. So we got box C, group term life insurance, 417.49. Then he's got box D, 131.25, 401k contributions. Right, and that's the difference between this number and this number, right? Because the 401k contributions reduces the taxable wage base for regular income taxes, but does not reduce the Social Security wage base or the Medicare wage base. All right, other item, DD 224199.76. It's health insurance, I think. Yeah, employer health coverage, 9.76. All right, so anything in box D? Yes, retirement plan is checked because he obviously contributes to the company 401k. Description, other, California SDI 835.81. So this is, most states have this. You contribute to the state disability insurance fund, and that funds things like, state disability and paid family leave and things like that. So I think it was Tax Act that actually had a separate input specifically for California state disability, the California SDI. But this one doesn't, but hopefully they'll still pick it up. Well, probably won't even matter anyway, because we're not going to have Jimmy itemized deductions. But anyway, okay, then the state information, of course. This is just filling the information in. California, employee state ID number. This is, the corporation number or the the LLC Secretary of State number. Okay, state wages, income tax. The state wages will, in most cases, be the exact same as this. I mean, obviously, if there's multiple states here, they would probably sum up to this number, but we're just saying he worked in one state here, so state wages, 83,867.54. State income tax withheld, 4,848.62. Okay. All right. So I'm going to say it's standard W-2. It's not handwritten, altered, or hand-typed. That's interesting. I don't remember this question being asked in other tax software. Is this a corrected form W-2? I'm going to say no. All right, so now it's asking you to confirm. Okay, they're probably asking this because they're probably suspicious about the EIN, right? They think it looks fake, but I think that's why they asked that. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Now FreeTaxUSA is actually asking specifics about SDI. Okay, so state that issued SDI California, if any, was withheld from your wages and shown in box 14 of the W-2, enter the amount. Okay, so it's asking for it here. Interesting. Because, it is in box 14. I don't know if it's bad that is it going to double count it because I put it on the other screen? I'm not sure. Again, it's not going to matter for his tax situation anyway because he doesn't itemize. Okay, so invalid EIN. So it doesn't like the fake EIN I used. Okay. Yeah, so some tax software they catch this and they're picky about the EINs. Others they don't. Obviously, on your W-2, you're gonna have a real EIN because you work for a real company. But I just made up this company, so I don't even know. Does that look more real? Not really. But let's find out if it takes it. Okay, it took it. All right, so now it has a little review screen for you to review the major inputs. Okay, and so the only other form of income I have for Jimmy is some interest income. Actually, I'm going to put some unemployment compensation for him as well to see if FreeTaxUSA is updated for the $10,200 unemployment compensation exclusion for 2020. But first, let's just start with the interest income to see how easy that is. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that he got some interest income from the big bank. And say make $100. Easy. There was another tax software, I don't remember which one, that made the interest input more complicated than it had to be. I mean, most people who get a 1099 for interest, it's like it's the one number, right? The interest income in box 1. You don't need to make it terribly complicated. Anyway, do you need to enter any more interest income? I'm going to say no. So that was super easy. Now this is interesting. So you can view the form. Oh, they actually. This is actually kind of cool. I kind of like this. They show you the tax form right there on screen, like the in this case the Schedule B. He doesn't need to file Schedule B because it's not more than $1,500. But I like how they show you the tax form right there. Do they do that for wages on the face? Oh, actually, you can look at it right here. This is actually cool. I like it when tax software, they make it very easy for you to review your tax return as you go. I really like that, actually. And it looks like FreeTaxUSA is doing a pretty good job of that. I'm actually liking this tax software so far. I mean, it's not as, we're going to hold your hand through the whole thing as, like, say, a TurboTax. But just coming at it from an accountant's perspective, like, I like the fact that I can review it as I go. Let's do the unemployment compensation to see if it's updated. Okay, so it's telling you that, no, this is not where the state tax refund goes. Did you receive unemployment compensation on Form 1099-G? I'm going to say yes. Okay. Do you need to enter any 1099-G unemployment compensation? Yes. Sometimes I feel like they ask the same question twice, though, which is a little annoying. Okay, this is, again, fake information. So don't actually use this. Did this Form 1099-G have any state tax withheld? You're gonna put the amount from your actual 1099-G. Okay, just to make this all clear. Okay, save and continue. I like how they did ask for the EIN of the state on the 1099G. That's interesting. Do you need to enter any more 1099G unemployment compensation? No. All right, let's now look at the 1040 and see if they've updated for the exclusion. I hope they have. I think most tax softwares have by now, right? Yeah. They're not including it as income there. Yep. They did it correctly here on the Schedule 1. They put the 10,000 there, and then they subtracted it there. So pretty good. Pretty good. But you know what? I also want to test if they've updated, because the IRS changed the rules recently. Because this benefit's only for if you make 150K or less. That's probably going down too much of a rabbit trail. So let's maybe I'll save that for another time. Okay, so he's inputted all the income here. I also did some stocks for him. So let's see how easy it is to do stocks. So I lied. I'm actually giving him more income than just the interest and the wages. So this is an actual tax form for a brokerage account I used to have. So I'm just going to see. Brokerage, big brokerage. Ordinary dividends. If you haven't seen my video on how dividends are taxed, make sure you check that out. Section 199A dividends. There you go. I just pulling the information from the 1099 dividend. Exempt interest dividends down here, line 11. Okay, so that was super easy. All right, now let's also do some stock sales. So when a brokerage account has like several entries on it, like several transactions, I kind of like to just cheat and just summarize it based on this page, the Form 1099B total summary. So that's what I'm going to do here. Do you need to enter any more dividend income? No, I want to enter stocks. Where do I put stocks? Stock or investment sold? Start. It's actually, the software's actually fast too. It's pretty fast. Did you sell any stocks, bonds, or other investments? Yeah. I'm entering a, this is interesting. Yeah, let me enter a summary. Big brokerage. Okay, so I'm just going to, let's start with the short term. Okay, so short term is here, sold it for $128.43, cost basis is $126.87. Okay, so I'm going to say short term, stock sales. Sales proceeds, that's this, $128.43. Then it's asking for the cost basis, that is right here, $126.87. Was the basis report to the IRS, then it's asking, was the basis report to the IRS on your summary statement? And this is box A, basis report to IRS, which is yes, right? So I say yes, right? It says right there, box A or D. Federal tax withheld, none. Okay, so there we did the short term. No FATCA requirement. Do you have adjustments? Nope. No wash sales. If there was a wash sale disallowed, it would be in this column here, but there's nothing there. All right, so did you sell any more stocks, bonds, or other investments? I'm going to say yes, because we got to do the long-term gains or losses now. All right, so I'm going to say type of stock or investment sale. I'm going to say summary. Save and continue. Name of brokerage or bank. I'm just going to say big brokerage. Long-term stock sales, right? Sales proceeds, $163.89. Cost or other basis, $154.20. Was the basis report to the IRS in your summary statement? This is box D, basis report to IRS. So yes, right? Box A or box D. Save and continue. One thing I do notice about FreeTaxUSA though is that you don't seem to have the option to import things like import your W-2 or import your stock transactions. So it's kind of a con. But all right, additional investment information. Do you have any adjustments to this investment sale? No. No wash sales. All right. Do you have any more stocks, bonds, or other investments? No. Continue, please. No qualified opportunity fund stuff. All right, so here's all his income. And yep, a little bit of stock gains right there. We're gonna say no business income, no other income. Okay, so we're basically done with the income here for him. All right, so now deduction. So I'm gonna assume that Jimmy does not own a home. He doesn't give like a whole lot to charity, so he doesn't itemize his deductions. He just takes the standard deduction, right? If you know how this works, you know that based on your filing status, you get a certain deduction amount that you get to deduct from your income to arrive at the actual income that's actually taxed, right? For head of household for 2020, that number is $18,650, right? If your other deductions, right, like mortgage interest, property taxes, charitable contributions, all those itemized deductions exceed the standard deduction for your filing status, well, you'd obviously probably want to use that because you can take more deductions. But if your itemized deductions are less than your standard deduction amount, then you would just go with the standard deduction, right? There is one kind of thing that one of the stimulus acts did was to make those who take the standard deduction, they could deduct up to $300 of charitable contribution on their 2020 tax return, even if they don't itemize their deductions, right? And in 2021, it's $300 if you're single and up to $600 if you're married filing jointly, right? But in 2020, it's just $300 for everybody. Okay, so, they say it right here. If you have cash donations, make sure to enter them on the next screen. For 2020, you can deduct up to $300 of cash donations without itemizing deductions. This is a great warning here. I think Tax Act gave this warning as well. Some states allow you to itemize deductions on your state return, even when you don't itemize them on your federal return. And that's very true, right? Okay, so maybe, at the federal level, Jimmy doesn't have $18,650 worth of itemized deductions, but maybe his state standard deduction amount is a lot lower than that, right? Maybe it's only a few $1,000s. In that case, he would still wants to input his itemized deductions into his tax software, to itemize his deductions at the state level, right? Because maybe the itemized deductions are greater than his state standard deduction. Okay, I'm going to assume no, but that's just something to keep in mind. So I am going to put here that he donated $300 to charity. Well, I'm going to say $1,000. I'm going to say he donated $1,000 to charity, right? And let's see how it limits it here. Let me continue. Okay, $1,000. Continue. Okay, new deduction in 2020. Take the standard deduction amount. You can now deduct up to. You told us you had $1,000 cash contributions. Enter any cash contributions you made in 2020 to qualified organizations. Wait, that's what I meant. Okay, I think it just wants you to. What if I put 1,000 here? It wants to limit it to 300. Yeah, okay, it limited it to 300. All right, good. Okay, so this is where it's adding up your itemized deductions, right? So this is your standard deduction that he just gets for filing head of household, right? The standard deduction for singles is lower, for married filing jointly it's higher. And these are the itemized deductions it's adding up, right? His taxes paid, his state taxes paid from his W-2, right? Charitable contributions, right? So his itemized deductions are only $6,685. Standard deduction is $18,950, right? So he's going to go with the standard deduction. Do you want to use your standard deduction with donation since it's larger than your itemized deduction? Yep. Okay. Health insurance. Did any members of your household have health insurance from the federal health insurance marketplace or state basic? I'm going to say no. I'm just going to say he's covered through his job. IRA contributions. I'm saying no. I'd love it if he did, right? Actually, you know what? Let's give him let's say he made a $6,000 IRA contribution during the year. How about that? See if it puts that on the tax return. At his income level, though, I may rather him do a Roth, but you know what? But you're not going to see the Roth on the tax return, right? So what's the point of me putting it in there? But from an investment perspective, because his tax bracket's relatively low, and he's relative. How old did I say he is? I forget. I think he's relatively young, or maybe not. Basically, the younger you are and the lower your tax bracket, and the further away you are from retirement, the more the Roth makes sense. The higher your tax bracket and the closer you are to retirement, maybe, the more the traditional makes sense, generally speaking. All right, spent too long on this already. Let's just say he made $6,000 of traditional IRA contributions, didn't have excess IRA contributions. Let's say he didn't withdraw anything from his IRA. enter your total basis for 20. I'm going to say 0. I'm going to say 2020 is the first year he contributed to an IRA. Enter the value of all your IRAs as of December 31st, 2020. Let's say that he invested, $6,000 when the market tanked, in March, COVID crash, right? And let's say, at the end of 2020, they were up, let's say 50%, right? So let's say $9,000, so 6,000 became 9,000. No, we're saying that he actually made them in 2020, right? Not that period in the next year when he can still make it for the previous year. All right, let's look at the Ira Deduction Worksheet. Okay. I see. Okay, so it seems that he is phased out of the IRA deduction because he's covered through a retirement plan at work. I forgot about that. So he doesn't get an IRA deduction here. So in this case, because look, how it works is you can't make a traditional, you can't get a deduction for your traditional IRA contribution if you're covered by a retirement plan at work and your income is over a certain amount, right? So Jimmy is phased out for this. So actually, he should definitely not make a traditional IRA contribution. He should make a Roth IRA contribution. Yeah, I forgot we said that he's covered by a 401k at work. So no. Okay, no, kid's not in college. And the Roth doesn't show up on the tax return, by the way, unless you're doing a backdoor Roth or something, or you have a Roth conversion. No student loans. No teacher expenses. Wait a second. Okay. I know that he could elect to use his 2019 income for the earned income tax credit. Why isn't FreeTaxUSA telling him he can do that? Oh, I know why. Because his income was too high, not too low, right? If his income, if he qualified for it in 2020, right, and using 29 income would have resulted in a higher earned income tax credit, it would make sense. But because he's completely phased out this year, he can't. Okay. Okay, so here's the stimulus questions. Did you receive a first or second round economic impact payment? I'm going to say yes, I did. I'm going to say that I received a... What should we do? We should say that, let's say that Jimmy only got the stimulus for himself and not his daughter. I know that's been very common. And let's see if it calculates the recovery rebate credit appropriately. Okay, so I'm going to say no. Didn't receive $1,700. I said I only received $1,200 for first stimulus. Second stimulus. Did you already receive at least $1,200? No, I'm going to say I only received $600, right? Because I'm saying that he only received it for himself and not his daughter, as I know is the case for many people. Right. Okay. Thanks. Right. So he's going to get an $1,100 recovery rebate credit, right? $500, right, for his daughter for first stimulus, $600 for his daughter for second stimulus. The third stimulus is a 2021 tax credit, right? So if you don't get your third stimulus payment, you claim the recovery rebate credit on your 2021 tax return. So, all right. So did stimulus correctly? No home energy credit. No home energy credit. No child care. Well, he would need child care. So let's. Now let's not complicate it. I'm just going to assume that, he works during Molly's school hours and is able to, drop her off and pick her up. And then maybe do some more work later after she's asleep. Other deductions and credits. Okay, now we're assuming none of these because I know this probably applies to a very small percentage of you. Okay, so basically he's just getting the standard deduction with the $300 cash donation for non-itemizers, and he's getting a $2,000 child tax credit, right, for Molly, and an $1,100 recovery rebate credit for the stimulus payments he did not get for his daughter for first and second stimulus. We're making great progress. Good. Okay, I'm saying no. I'm saying no estimated tax payments, no extension payment, no identity protection PIN, no foreign financial assets or cryptocurrency, no nanny tax. Refund maximizer. This is interesting. Okay, sure. Why not? Save and continue. Do you have a child who has a job? No. Do you provide more than half the financial support for a relative? No. I mean, we already said his daughter, right? But this is asking, I think, for more like your non-child dependents. Do you provide more than half the financial support for an unrelated person? No. Do you have a child being claimed as a dependent by their child's parents? No. Do you have a child who received a W-2? No. Child has no income, we're saying. We already went through the IRA stuff. Do you own a home? No. College tuition? No. Boat or RV? No. Armed forces? No. Well, no state and refund. Okay, so that refund maximizer was a little bit underwhelming, but he has a very simple tax situation, so I wouldn't expect it to find anything. All right, so now it's showing you the tax return to review, and this all looks good to me. We have his name, we have his daughter there, his wages, his interest, his dividends, his the stock capital gains, stock sales, okay, total income, less a $300 charitable, right? So that's 83,682, standard deduction 18,650, taxable income 65,032. So the tax, right, on this, based on the tax tables and the qualified dividend capital gain worksheet, is 8,654, less the $2,000 child tax credit. Okay, 6,654, less the income tax withheld, 7,206, less the recovery rebate credit for the stimulus payments he didn't receive for his daughter. So total credits 8,306 against his total tax after the child tax credit leaves him with a refund of $1,652. Okay, we already reviewed that one. Okay, these are just the stock sales. Okay, good. Looked pretty good to me. All right, state return. We are going to blast right through this because I know we all live in different states. Some of your states don't even have a personal income tax. So I'm just going to blast right through this here because I know that not everybody obviously lives in California, so a lot of the stuff is not applicable to you. So I'm just going to kind of blast right through this here. I'm just gonna hit continue. And then I'll talk about the pros and cons. Yes, paid rent. California renters credit. At a household. Yep. Ugh. I told you. I thought I told it earlier that he was divorced, right? Yep. Had a household. Everyone had health insurance. Save and continue. No. All right. No more state returns. Okay, so now here's the part where it shows your federal refund right here, California refund right here. And yep, there it is. There's the upsell to the California state return. And it also wants to upsell you to have a printed copy of your tax return. I don't know why you would. You could pay even more if you want it bound. Why? You can just get it in a PDF. I don't know. So obviously I'm not going to go past the screen because now this is where you would pay for the tax return. I'm not paying for this fake tax return, obviously. So let's talk about pros and cons of FreeTaxUSA. So let's start with the pros. Pros, it was fast and it got the job done. I mean, that's, a major part of a tax return software. Pro number 2 is that you can basically, well, at the federal level anyway, do any tax situation in here for free. For federal returns only, of course. Another pro would be, the user interface, it's not bad. And it actually, it's very clean. Let me just say it's clean, right? It's one of the cleaner ones I've seen. It's not too overwhelming, but of course you do have to know kind of what you're doing with your tax return, or else you might not know where to click. All right, let's talk about the cons, and that actually leads into the first con. The first con is FreeTaxUSA doesn't really hold your hand through the tax preparation process like TurboTax does, right? Where it's basically just asks you question after question after question. You don't really have to think about it. You just have to answer the questions, right? And input numbers where appropriate. FreeTaxUSA, it's a little more open-ended. You kind of have to know, where to click. You kind of have to know, okay, I got to input my, income, and then, okay, I got to look through all these incomes and see what I owe. It'll give you like a list, right? And it's your responsibility to click on it and tell FreeTaxUSA that, hey, I need to input this kind of income now. Another con is that you have to pay for the state return. I mean, that's completely lame. I don't know how they expect to capture the free market. I don't mean free market like capitalism. I mean the market of people whose tax returns are simple enough where they qualify for the free editions of all these tax offers. I don't know how they're going to capture that market when they can go to TurboTax or H&R Block Online and do both their federal and state tax return for free, right? Because the whole goal with like the free tax software, right, are those upsells that I discussed here at FreeTaxUSA and in other tax softwares. But it's also because they know that eventually your tax situation may become more complicated when you buy that home, right? When you start that business, when you buy that rental property, right? When your investment situation is more complicated, and then because it's too much of a you've used FreeTaxUSA your whole life, it's just going to be they have all your information there. It's going to be, why would you go somewhere else, right? And then they can monetize you, right? But I don't know how they're going to capture that group of people who qualify for a free tax return when they charge them $15 for state. That seems like an outdated business model. I know TurboTax used to do that for its free stuff, but now, both Fed and state are free. I don't know how they're going to compete with that. I don't like how they charge you for state too, even for very simple tax returns. Another con would be those upsells. They did try to upsell this fake tax return to Deluxe, right, for $7, which is, you get support, right, with your tax return. But, this individual, he doesn't really need that support. He has a very simple tax return, right? Why would you upsell him for that? They also tried to upsell for getting a paper copy of your tax return as well as a bound copy of your tax return. That just seems a little bit silly in this digital age, right? Like, why would I do that when I could just download the PDF, right? And then if I really wanted a hard copy, I could print it for cheaper than that, especially given this guy's return was like just a few pages. So don't like the upsells, but that's kind of just par for the course with these tax softwares these days. But overall, I think it worked well. I didn't sit there thinking like, that's weird. Why did it do that or ask like that? They did put some thought, right, into creating this tax software, but I really just don't like how they charge for state. So that is my FreeTaxUSA review and walkthrough. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, to the end. I also have some other tax videos on the next screen for you to enjoy, so I will see you over there.